Marion County Community Library, and today we're going to be making a fairy jar lantern, which is the little lantern here that's going to look like we have a fairy trapped in our jar. At the end I'm going to put this tea light in and you'll see the effect that gives. So for this project we're going to need a jar. This is a pint jar I got at Dollar Tree for $1. The tea lights, the battery operated tea light, is 2 for $1 at Dollar Tree. This is a pickle jar, free, that I'm going to use for the demonstration, and it has a pretty pink lid on it. You're going to need some kind of a cutout. This one came from the Cricut cutting machine that Terry at the circulation desk has, so thank you to Terry. She cut all our fairies out for us. You're going to need any kind of white tissue paper, doesn't matter what kind, some Mod Podge, a brush to apply the Mod Podge, a piece of ribbon about 24 inches depending on the top of your jar, what size it is, and I used some silk roses on mine. So we're going to start by putting our fairy in the jar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue, some Mod Podge on the inside of the jar where I want my fairy to be. Now if your jar has some writing on it or texture, some bumps on it, you want to avoid that part of the jar. Sometimes canning jars have some writing or measurements on the outside. So I'm going to put a layer of Mod Podge on the inside, and I'm going to stick my fairy to the inside of the jar. I'm just going to take my brush and make sure she's on there. Okay, the second thing we want to do is cut our tissue paper. So you want to make sure that your tissue paper goes all the way around your jar with a little bit of overlap. You can always trim that off later. And that you can fold it under the bottom of the jar, like that. So I've got my tissue paper cut. So I'm going to work in a few sections at a time. So I'm only going to put the Mod Podge right below where the jar screws on. I don't want to put anything where the threads are for the lid to screw on, because we still want to put that lid on when we're done. So I'll put a section on, and I'm going to line my paper up with right below that rim. Actually, I want to give my paper a little crinkle because I want some texture to my paper. So you can do that before you put your Mod Podge on. Don't worry about getting the wrinkles smoothed out because it's going to be impossible, so we just want to have that texture. So I need to put some more Mod Podge on. And this dries clear, so don't worry about, the only color we're going to be getting is from the white from the tissue paper. And that's the illusion we want to have. Okay, you don't want to pull the tissue paper and tear it. If you get some creases in it, don't worry about it. I'm just patting it on here. One more section of Mod Podge. And get it over to the edge there. I'm going to trim mine off a little bit here. I don't want it to overlap quite that much. Now, if you don't want a fairy in your jar, you could always use a different silhouette. I've seen one done with a dragon that was really cute. Or, here's some shapes we had from our Ellison machine, a moon and a star, and I kind of like that tree. So you could use anything that gives a silhouette effect inside your jar. Okay, so I've got it all the way around my jar now. I'm just going to pat it down a little bit. I don't want to pull it and stretch it because it's probably going to tear. Wrinkles don't matter. Now I'm going to put some Mod Podge on the bottom of my jar, and I'm just going to fold those edges under. Now I'm going to put a layer of Mod Podge on the outside of the tissue paper now. If you're worried about your tissue paper tearing, you could let this dry and then do this outside layer, I'm just going to be careful and kind of pat some on here. Makes it a little more durable if you've got that Mod Podge on the outside. Once I have this all done, I would turn it upside down. We don't want that bottom sticking to anything while it's drying, and let it dry. Then when it's all done, I'd add my ribbon. It takes about 24 inches of ribbon, like I said, for the pint jar size. And then I glued the rose on with hot glue. You could use craft glue if you wanted, if you don't have a glue gun. You just want to hold it in place for a little bit until it sticks. Okay, I got that done. I'm going to turn it upside down and let it dry. And like I said, when it's dry, I would tie the ribbon around and glue the rose in place. I have a tea light here I'm going to stick in the bottom. And we'll put the lid on and give you the effect of my fairy jar lantern. Hope you enjoyed it.